at least we have some Democrats doing something. Ayanna Pressley and the rest of the squad are a part of the Democrats who are actually deciding to fight right now. There was a hearing of the House Oversight Committee, which AOC should be leading, but alas, we have Jerry Connolly in there instead. She's still on this committee, and we'll play her questioning of Eric Adams later, which was just hilarious. If Olayemi and AOC both did expert jobs with this guy. But there was a hearing called by the Republicans over they called 4 big city mayors for questioning all Democrats. Eric Adams is technically a Democrat. Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu, and Denver Mayor Mike Johnston. And they were called to testify over the fact that they are using their rights or their powers, provided that they were voted on to execute on the state level or on the city level, that the Trump administration is saying is basically completely illegal and immoral. Because apparently, I remember back in the day, Republicans used to talk about states' rights. No longer. Now it's the federal government trying to impose their ICE detainer requests on these cities who have laws that they have to abide by that contradict these kinds of things. Like, for example, cities provide legal aid to folks, which the Trump administration is upset about. They may restrict local law enforcement from sharing the immigration status of someone who is detained with the federal government, or they may not detain them for an extended period to allow for ICE to come and grab them because for, say, like a petty crime or a violation that is not violent, right? They may not be forced to detain these people. But the federal government under Trump and their, ICE immigration officials, they want to supersede local and state laws on this front so that they can round up a bunch of immigrants. So Ayanna Pressley here in this hearing attempted to submit evidence, an article, under unanimous consent into the record during this hearing. And here James Comer repeatedly tries to stop her and threatens to remove her from the committee for trying to introduce evidence into the record.
Chair recognizes
Mr. Chairman, I have unanimous consent request. Mr. Chairman, have unanimous consent request.
Proceed.
I'd like to seek unanimous consent to enter into the record this article, and I'll do this as a survivor of sexual violence myself. This is from Courts, March 2018.
Without objection, so ordered.
Data from Texas shows that U.S.-born...
Without objection, so ordered. We've put it in the record.
I haven't entered it.
You have what?
Mr. Chair, can I have several articles. So I need to enter them. Let me just go ahead with what the articles are, what they speak to.
What's the next article?
Let me proceed. Data from Texas shows that U.S.-born Americans commit more rape and murder than immigrants.
Listen, this trend of you all trying to get thrown out of committee so you can get on MSNBC is going to end. We're not going to put up with it.
This is my procedural right as a member of this committee.
You can go with Mr. Frost and Mr. Green.
I'm reclaiming my time.
That's what you want. No. Ms. Presley, I've been very...
Say something here. The whole, your prop clipping objection, you're just trying to get on MSNBC. This would not be a clip if you just let her read the news article into the record.
Exactly. Republicans never try to get on or to get on Fox News or something like that with their stunts. I mean, are you kidding me? Nancy Mace has made basically her entire career out of trying to get on cable news. She gave her staff quotas that she had to be on the news every single day or going out to news outlets to put her on air.
MSNBC wasn't going to play just her reading a news article into the public or into the record.
No.
It wouldn't have been newsworthy except he throws this fit.
Right.
Comer also literally was on like every second for the Hunter Biden stuff.
Oh,
like,
right.
Like he is like, it's crazy coming from like one of the thirstiest members of Congress for attention.
Yeah, and he's also, the idea that MSNBC is more favorable to a representative like Ayanna Pressley than any of the 10 Democrats that I just listed who voted to censure Al Green for protesting Trump is ridiculous. Later in the show, we'll play David Axelrod saying that it was horrible that Al Green dared to interrupt the president here. I mean, folks like Ayanna Pressley are not aligned really with what MSNBC is doing, specifically the direction they're taking now, which has been just to sideline or outright fire, really, the most progressive voices on their network, and there were very few and far between at the beginning, or to start.
I
have been very accommodating to you, Mr. Superjohn.
And I take particular umbrage as a survivor of sexual violence. I will insert into the record. This is my right. Thank you.
No. It is Mr. Superjohn.
Mr. Chair.
No, you know the process of unanimous consent. You are not recognized.
I have several articles to enter into the record.
Mr. Superjohn, if you don't go, we're going to recognize Mr. Timmons.
So he's really threatened. I know, right? Hall monitor. Yeah, you're not abiding by the rules. It's the same thing that Speaker Johnson did, which got thunderous applause with the Al Green thing. We're going to remove you. I mean, this is how they get off with their kind of fascism. It's using the power of the state to silence people. Because why is that such a threat for that to be entered into the record? The fact that undocumented immigrants or immigrants in general commit less sexual assault on average than natural-born Americans. Or just the Wall Street Journal, crazy lefty publication, had an article out this morning, and I quote, "Decades of research have found that immigrants are less likely than native-born Americans to commit crimes and that neighborhoods with greater concentrations of immigrants have lower rates of crime and violence." This is established by all of the academia on this front, but Comer is threatened by the idea that this would be entered into the record because at the State of the Union, they're using Laken Riley because she is a white girl that was tragically killed by somebody who was an undocumented immigrant. They are trying to use decades-old tropes that white supremacists have used and our racist country has used many times over, whether it be the victimhood of white women to justify lynching of black people in the South because a black man maybe supposedly whistled at her, or the depictions of Native American populations in this country as threats to the purity of white women, so we should crack down on them, or what we're seeing right now with trans women who are portrayed as perverted sexual assaulters, and right-wingers hide behind the protection of these lily white women as a justification for cracking down on the rights of trans people and LGBTQ people. The right likes to hide behind women, and it's in their mind usually white women, because it gives them a moral justification for being fascist and cruel towards the people that are supposedly the dark and evil folks.
I mean, it's hysterical lies, like, like the late-term abortions or like all the Social Security fraud. I mean, the truth about sanctuary city laws is that they are good for public order and safety. And if cops didn't like them, they wouldn't be there, because we don't have cops under control in this country enough to force something like sanctuary city laws down their throat if they didn't want it. The truth is that for even something like the Laken Riley thing, you want communities, whether they're documented or not, to be able to go to the police, say, hey, that guy's dangerous.
Right.
Without having to worry about, I'm going to get deported because I said there's a dangerous guy there. And everyone should know that. Everyone who genuinely cares about public safety, which should be everyone obviously on the left, people on the right don't actually care about that. They want to see continued deterioration because the police state pays for them.
Yeah, that's and that is why also we're seeing the merging of immigration and crime narratives, despite the fact that we did see a spike in the pandemic for around 2 years in almost all types of crime. But violent crime since then has been dropping precipitously. But the Democrats on those two issues have essentially allowed the right to define it. Let's just quickly play Mayor Wu of Boston responding to Paul Gosar's question towards her about this very topic.
We just heard we want a comprehensive immigration policy. How can you get a comprehensive immigration policy when you're defining it from the very get-go? You're building it on false premises and false tenets.
Respectfully, Congressman, you could pass bipartisan legislation, and that would be comprehensive immigration law. The false narrative is that immigrants in general are criminals, or immigrants in general cause all sorts of danger and harm. That is actually what is undermining safety in our communities. If you wanted to make us safe, pass gun reforms. Stop cutting Medicaid. Stop cutting cancer research. Stop cutting funds for veterans. That is what will make our city safe.
Yes, thank you. I yield back.
Oh, you yield
Just
back,
a headline on that interesting fellow there, Gosar from Democracy Now! A neo-Nazi working in Congress. Aide to Representative Gosar pledged loyalty to white supremacist Nick Fuentes.
There you go. And to put a cherry on top of this, we had Austin Coker on the show, I guess a week or two ago now. Great writer, professor up at Syracuse who studies immigration. Updated numbers here on the detentions under Trump. I guess this also really started on January 12th, this data that they have. They have increased the detentions across the board here 1.3 times the increase in detentions for convicted criminals, 1.6 times the increase in terms of detaining immigrants with pending criminal charges, 4.3 times increase for other immigration violator, which means somebody that crossed the border without documentation or may not have updated documentation. So when you hear that they're just going after criminals, know that for the rest, for that, the biggest bucket of folks who are being detained by this far-right administration are people that have not committed any kind of crime, except for the fact that maybe they want to come to this country to work or to escape political persecution.
And that's because the previous administrations, Trump's, but also Biden and Obama, were already prioritizing criminals for deportation.
Yeah. This was the stated policy of the Trump administration was the Obama policy. But now, because we've given them that leeway, they have gone and ran with it.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.